I was just really curious to read about how you're focused on education in blockchain, because I do find that that's a big hurdle. So tell me about what your effort is there.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. So one of our subsidiaries is the Blockchain Training Alliance, and we have trained everyone from Microsoft to HP and Deloitte, and names go on and on, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Veterans Administration. So we've trained a lot of the biggest companies in the world, and the advantage to that is we're at the cutting edge of what's going on in the industry. We believe in blockchain and what's to come and what it enables, and we also know that the public doesn't yet understand it. Mm-hmm. So we think the educational platform is going to really be important to help it grow to where it's going anyway.
So you're training them to implement it in their systems?
That's correct.
Okay.
And on top of that, we've trained about 150,000 individuals. So we focus on both sides of it, mm-hmm. and both technical and non-technical, because there's a lot of career opportunities and jobs having nothing to do with coding, just with understanding it and building projects.
Yeah. So how do you explain blockchain to average people that aren't, in technical world?
So that's a tough one to answer, but I'll pick a direction. So I'm not going to explain blockchain itself. I'm going to explain what it does, because the other would be a technical, right? Mm-hmm. And if you think about Web 1, what was Web 1? It was the ability to decentralize publishing. So anybody can put up a blog or put something up for others to read. Because prior to that, you had to go through a magazine or TV, or there was a middleman, so to speak, right?
Like an editor kind of thing.
Right, so Web 1 allowed people to project out like that. Web 2 allowed communications to be decentralized. So if you think about wanting to write a letter to the president, you couldn't do that before unless you went through his staff and stuff. But with Web 2, you're able to go on a social media at POTUS and you can communicate out to them, right? So that's a really big change. Web 3 takes that same concept and decentralizes everything else. So it is everything from medical records, it's entertainment. It just takes that same concept of not having to go through middle people, mm-hmm. and being able to just do it through technology. The technology is blockchain that allows this.
Yeah. So what do you think blockchain needs to grow and be mass adoption?
Well, I can tell you it's doing that now. So the second part of your question, Jane, is the mass adoption part. We are certainly not there yet. So the growth that's happening, while VC funding overall the last 12 months was down, for blockchain it was up. There's more money pouring into it, there's bigger players coming into it, and it is growing. But to get to mass adoption, we need to have applications where you don't even know you're using it. Yeah. And it's just supporting it, and that is absolutely happening now. And then the other thing is, there's terms you've heard, metaverse, DeFi. Most people don't understand what those mean. They're critically important. What's going to bring them to mass adoption, at least in the metaverse world, which is not it's a concept, is going to be hardware. So it's things like Oculus glasses are now. They've got to get more mature and comfortable to the point where the masses can and will wear them, and that opens up that part of it.
Yeah, just kind of more user-friendly, I
more
think is what we need. Now, in terms of when you're doing this kind of consulting and education, where do you see the first areas of growth? Would it be gaming, DeFi? Well,
gaming is absolutely driving it without a question. Some of the gaming blockchain platforms have done incredibly well, and they continue to grow. They're certainly, just like everybody knows about Bitcoin and its ups and downs, on a longer term graph, it's really been up, but that roller coaster, even the gaming companies have lived through. But there are millions and millions of people playing games, and it's helped develop the ecosystem. So,
and I feel like they're younger people too, in general, and they're kind of more, I don't know, just ready for some new technology. And
I can tell you it's more natural because the younger set, they've grown up playing games already, right? And living in this 3D world. Those of us that have been around a little bit longer, we're used to tactile things. We're used to seeing things 2D.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really understand blockchain, which is why I think our education is very important. You have to almost forget the way you did everything else in order to truly understand it. So it's easier for the young people to grasp it. It's almost just natural for them. And it's not natural for us, but those of us that get curious about it, we go into it full steam.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
rabbit
no, the
hole.
applications are really kind of transformational
They
for the
absolutely
world.
are.
Yeah.
They enable. It gives. I want to use the word power, but it gives access to individuals, no matter their status, no matter what country they live in, no matter third world, first world, no matter all the things that can divide us,
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah.
Because they can start things and do things and be on an equal footing as a big company, and that is the magic of,
Yeah.
of Web3.
So finally, what would you recommend to people who want to learn about the industry, or maybe want to pursue a career in the industry? Where should they start to learn about blockchain?
Blockchain Training Alliance, for sure.
And how do they find out about it?
Yeah, blockchaintrainingalliance.com.
Okay.
We'll send you there. And we have testimonials from people that took our classes 2 or 3 years ago and have gone on to write best-selling books and have huge careers in the industry, because you have to understand the foundations. And there's people that have just been listening to YouTube videos and involved that don't understand the real foundation to it, and that's where we start and teach. So when you do that, I would suggest, if you're young and maybe just coming out of high school, you're malleable. You can go to anything, right? But if you're a little older and you're curious about it, take whatever skill sets you've got, whatever industries you've been in, learn the foundations of blockchain. You will find the magic position that those two meet up, and you can help us. The thing about our industry is that the way I like to describe it is, in traditional industries, everybody's fighting for a slice of the pie, right? You need to have better advertising, better product, better this, better that, and you need to win on all those fronts in order to grow your company and be a success. We have pies coming out of the oven that don't stop. They just keep coming out. We don't have enough people in the industry. There's a big need, and the pay is typically higher, sometimes by as much as 50% or more. And you can become an expert in our industry in a year or two, because the industry itself is so new.
Yeah.
So there's a massive opportunity that needs people filling it. And that's I think, what our greatest value is right now to the ecosystem. And it's critically important, because it is a snowball. The bigger it's getting, the faster it's growing.
Yeah, well, and and it's changing very quickly too. So it's a good thing to come in and learn. Ron, thank you so much. So interesting.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Jane. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.